Hi. Recently, I've been thinking about how interesting it would be to touch upon a 3D pen topic, because on its peak on YouTube, people either did something really simple or, frankly speaking, prohibitively difficult but cool things which are impossible to reproduce by an ordinary person. And when everybody lost their interest and, roughly speaking, forgot about them, I decided that it was high time to show you the new side of this tool. No matter how ambitiously it sounds, I'll try to do my best. At the same time, I've never thought about buying this tool. Well, I thought that it would be awesome to try it, but that's it. And then I was given it as a present on my birthday, and I thought, whoa. You know, it's like in a computer game. When you have a character, there are discovered territories and dark undiscovered ones, and when you make a step forward, the new territory opens like a part of a puzzle. And this gift was this step forward, a step to the dark territory. So the new horizons in art were opened before me. I bought different plastic, colored, common, transparent, and including the glowing in the night one. I must say that it's not easy as it seems to work with a pen. Even if you want to make a simple line, you have to get the hang of it. And to avoid wasting the glowing plastic, which I wanted to use, I took a yellow one to practice, because I had a lot of it. These paper crystals have been drawing my attention for a long time, so I want to do something with them, and I thought that it would be a cool idea to try combining these shapes and the tool. I started looking for more interesting shapes and found this crystal and thought, this is just what I need, and then looked for the name of the creator, and he was Alexei, the administrator of the group Select Waste Paper in Vkontakte, about which I told you. And it's a wonderful feeling when you find the works on the internet of the people you know. By the way, wait a sec. I have this fox making kit for a long time, which I also got from Alexei, and I still can't choose the right time to tell you about it. The advantage of this kit is that everything is prepared for you. The paper of different density and color, some cotton for different details. You just have to glue it and put the things together, and it is super awesome. You can buy this kit for yourself or as a gift. I still can't find the right time to make a video about it, as I want to match the fox with my bright orange makeup. Well, never mind. Now we're speaking about the crystal. I've got distracted a bit. The link to the crystal free template I leave in the description, so any one of you could make your own crystal, paint and decorate according to your taste. Actually, I wanted to make it from resin and then attach the faces using plastic, but I noticed that it doesn't stick to anything. It means that it won't stick to resin as well. But if plastic doesn't stick to resin, it doesn't mean that resin won't stick to plastic. Think about that. So I printed everything using thick paper and started outlining the details. It was really hard at first. Plus, I had not only to outline the details, but to make a separate contour of each detail. The most difficult part was to make the tiny details, and these wings to which all the details are attached I didn't need. To make no mistake, I put all the parts of a detail on different pages in my sketchbook. And as you have already noticed, they still were with these plastic tendrils. I didn't need them, so I cut the tendrils off and glued the part to the masking tape to pour resin. At first I thought that I should use UV resin, because I was afraid that epoxy might leak through the frames. I made a transparent thin layer, but because UV resin heats while drying, the plastic started to melt and lose its shape. So I had to find another way. Besides, I had a lot of details and they helped me to realize the upcoming amount of work. Drying everything with a flashlight or change the details every 5 minutes under the lamp, nah, It's much easier to pour the parts with resin ones and leave them till they are dry, but I had to solve the resin leaking problem. I attached all my contours to the masking tape and started looking at them and thinking. Remembering how joints are fixed before pouring resin by glue gun or using sealant, I decided to do something as well and attached my parts using the same plastic from the 3D pen. I thought that it would make everything more solid. For this crystal, I took Epoxy Crystal Plus resin. Mix everything according to the instruction and wait till all the bubbles are out. I poured resin into a mold to color it and necessarily left some transparent resin, because I don't want my crystal to be completely colored. I made a thin layer of transparent resin, then put a couple of colored drops and mixed everything a bit. However, I decided to give up on making the first thin layer. I started to simply pour differently colored resin and add some transparent as well. And to feel some more magic and to create an effect of minerals, I added some white stains. Next, following the same scheme, I got to work with the other details. I attached the masking tape to a piece of paper, but there was little sense in this, as the piece of paper started to go wavy as well as the tape. I had to turn the situation around, so I started to attach the details to the laptop table. If the resin somehow leaks through the frames, it wouldn't be that upsetting, because I could decorate the surface on the table then. As you can see, one of the parts was wider than the tape, so I attached two tapes close to each other, but it seems that the resin leaked. We will check it a bit later. Also, there was a triangle in which a mosquito landed, and it didn't make me happy, to be frank. I'm not fond of insects and resin. It's easy to unstick these plates, but it's still important not to accidentally break them, because they are thin and could easily break in two. And yeah, because of the masking tape, the parts are matte on the back. But a new thin layer of resin will fix it. Okay, the most difficult thing for now is this part, which stuck to the board. However, it unstuck well. I was more worried about the possibility to break it while unsticking. To my surprise, there were no spots left on the board as the resin remained on the tape, but there also were somebody's legs? There are also the parts which made me wonder. There was an accident drop, and it also came away from the plates. And this situation made me doubt. I mean, how could this drop came off that easily from the plastic, but my details managed to stick to it. But then I got it. I'll try to draw this for you. Look. I have a masking tape on which I attach the first contour, which I made on the paper, and then take another layer using the plastic from the 3D pen. After that, I pour resin and it leaks under the first contour, plus I make some volume above. Therefore, the resin leaks around the first contour, but doesn't go beyond the second, additional contour. So we can say that the resin sticks this way and keeps as it is. I should definitely take a note of this. I started to put the parts according to the scheme to look whether I had all the required parts or not, and in fact, it was fun to do this puzzle. It was a good thing that I started doing it, because one part I poured was resin on the wrong side, because I had attached it wrong. So I made one more batch of the required parts. Now we should work on the back side of these plates. See? Now it's matte and the face is not transparent. Then I poured transparent resin on one part of the details, and they started to look completely different. I just spread the resin on the back as a very thin layer. When all the parts were absolutely done, it was high time to make a crystal from paper. Before cutting the details, I used my pair of compasses to make the lines more distinct. The needle of these plastic compasses is not that sharp, so it didn't cut the paper. I had an experience of using a metal pair of compasses, but it was a fail. You can replace compasses by a pen with no ink, and then you can cut, fold, and glue. I made a decision not to complete the composition at once. You can't imagine how right this decision was. I started to put together the parts of crystal separately. You can't attach resin and plastic, but if you want to do it with plastic and plastic, you'll succeed. Put the plastic inside the pan, and here we go! The most difficult thing was to hold the parts while attaching them to each other. It was pretty frustrating. I tried attaching them with some tape, but looking ahead, I managed to deal with it without any tape. I did the first cone and was super happy, although there was a giant hole from above, so I added plastic there. It was quite difficult to attach the side parts because the epoxy crystal was turning out bigger than the paper one, so the joints were quite wide. At that moment I realized that I couldn't make everything even and smooth, so I started making the joints vice versa. I added volume there, like some kind of salt seeps through the crystals and solidify this way. Putting it all together was a great joy and delight to me, because it was so different from everything I had done before. Then I had to put together the whole crystal, and it made me worry. I perfectly understood that my crystals were larger than those made of paper, and I was worried about how they would glue to each other. Because in paper craft, usually details fit perfectly the other details. Using the numbers on the paper models, I looked at what should be attached to what and then glued the parts with plastic. The gaps between the crystals were sometimes very large, but I just filled them all with plastic. To my surprise, more or less, I managed to put it all together. It wasn't easy, but I was full of enthusiasm because I was nearing the end, and before my eyes, the crystal was growing exactly as I intended it to be. Next, I started doing the coaster, which also was in the template. I outlined the bottom detail separately, but I had to think what to do with the upper part. My crystal was bigger than the required contour, so I outlined it with a pencil and started making the coaster from plastic according to it. So this is how it looks like. Then I attached it to the crystal. I added a side to the coaster and made a layer using a pen. The finish was very solid. Then I finally got my lights from AliExpress. It was the reason why this video was uploaded now and not in July. The thing is that you can't find LED strip with USB wire in Russia, and I wanted precisely this type of light, so I ordered it from China. The first thing to do is to check whether it works, and then you can start working. Yes, everything is alright, so we can cut and solder. I began looking where it was better to bring out the wire. I thought about how to place the strip. I fixed it using my glue gun. Don't worry, it's just glue. And if you watched my video about sealing wax, you definitely wouldn't be surprised by it. When I was cutting the lights, it was really important to make it lie like a snake and not to fail. I marked the spots with a marker where I was going to solder. For soldering, my boyfriend gave me these little wires. The red one for a plus and the blue one for a minus. Classic. I had to bare the wires on the ends, bend them and cut according to the size. A plus had to be with a plus and a minus had to be with a minus. I applied some resin on the ends of the wires and began to solder. I did it for the second time in my life, and this time no one helped me behind the scenes, so don't judge me too severely. Soldering wasn't my strongest point, but several times these drops turned out really good, like whoa! After every completed section, I checked whether the lights worked to be able to immediately find the problem if there was any. I couldn't wait for the next day to continue shooting the video, so I began to solder in the evening. This process was no less fun than making the crystal itself. Well, finally, everything is ready, everything is working. So you can unstick the tape and attach it to the crystal. I did it using the same 3D pen in the places where were the wires. I probably isolated them from each other and partially attached everything to the bottom. Everything was going according to the plan. So I took my soldering iron and melted the coaster a bit to make a hole in the openings for the wire. But I didn't really like the color of the wire, so I put some masking tape on the base with the lights. I had to do it without any gaps. And colored the wire with a spray can. It looks much better, doesn't it? Gently peel off the protection, and now it definitely looks cool. With the help of plastic, I straightened the base and additionally glued the tapes to the coaster. I didn't attach the bottom around the entire perimeter, only in 4 places. Well, you never know what might happen. Maybe suddenly you'll have to open this part. And voila! Those who listened attentively remember that I used plastic glowing in the night. Unfortunately, it is hard to see it on the camera, but I hope at least you see the point. Yep, the plastic is red. So all the edges of crystal glow in the dark. I tried to charge the edges using UV lamp, but it turned out that this plastic works only with light and not with the UV rays. And by the way, Once I told you that if you work a lot with UV flashlight or lamp, it's better to do so in special sunglasses with UV protection. Have a look at how they work like. Take care of your eyes. I hope this video was interesting and useful for you. Thanks to all my sponsors for your support. And I should be more careful with these candles. Love you this much. Bye.